So we're at a point in our game where we need to start talking about leader stats and what is leader stats, right? Um, right here on the store owner, when he goes and talks to him and he says, I want to buy the heavy pack, well, there needs to be some code that happens in the background, right? And what needs to happen in the background is it needs to check if the player has enough money to buy the pack. And if it does, then okay, well, then you can give the player the pack and you're good to go, right? If he doesn't, then it's going to make an error sound and it's going to not add the pack to the player. Right? So in order for that to happen, we need to keep track of how much money the player has. Right? And in order for that to happen, we need to keep track. We need to keep track of how many pieces of ore he's collected. Right? And then when we come to the bank, you could sell the ore. The ore turns into money. And then he can come back over here to the store and purchase the heavy pack with the money that he created, that he earned, right? Okay, so in order for all of that to happen, we need a place where we can store information about the player. Okay, and leader stats is the place where you would store that information, and we could also save it on the server, right? So that when you leave the game and you come back later and you play again, you have the same amount of money that you did when you last left the game. Right? And what do I mean by leader stats? Well, if you look here on this game, right, this is a finished version of the game. What is leader stats? It's this corner up here on the top right corner, where it shows the player's name, and then it also says how much money he has, how many nuggets he has, and what's the max number of nuggets that he can carry. Okay, and so this is the information we need to store for each player that plays the game, and we need to store it not on your own computer, but on the server. And so the server might be something that's a little bit confusing to you, so I'm going to go ahead and use this little diagram I found on the internet. And so when you first run your game, like we're here on Gold Rush, and I press play, right? It says getting ready to load. I say open in Roblox. It says here starting Roblox, and it also says like searching for server, right? Waiting for available server, right? So what is a server, right? It's looking for a computer that Roblox is in control of that can run the game, right? And if you ever seen one of these, like in a movie, right? These are server rooms, okay? And each of these boxes here is a computer without a monitor, right? All of these are computers without monitors, and they're solely used for other computers to connect to. So let's imagine that Roblox has a room that looks like this, and Roblox has all these computers that are available for computers to connect to and play games off of. Okay. So when I press play, it's going to look for one of these servers that's not being used. Let's say we found one here, and then it's going to start our game on the server, okay, on the computer. And what is the server going to do? It's going to keep track of all of the different variables of the game. For instance, let's say we're in our obby, right? And there's two players connected to the obby. So we have player 1 connected to the obby, we have player 2 connected to the obby. They both connect at the same time, let's assume. So they're both sitting next to each other on the spawn location, right? Well, this player here, when he looks, he's going to see player 2. He's going to see player 2 right next to him, right? And why is he going to see player 2 right next to him? Because the server knows that this player connected and this player connected to the server, and it shares the location of player 2 to all the other players in the game, right? So if player 2 moves, then it's going to tell player 1, okay, player 2 moved his location, right? So show where player 2 is in his moved location, right? If player 2 steps on a red block on the floor and blows up, right, then the server is going to say, okay, well, the player 2 stepped on a red block. I'm going to make the player 2 blow up. And not only that, but I'm also going to tell player 1 and all the other players that are in the obby that player 2, where he was, and also that he blew up. So then player 1 is going to see player 2 step onto the red block and also blow up. Okay, so all of that information is like controlled by the server and sent out to all the players. All right, so that's what a server is, and this is important when we're talking about leader stats, because that's where the leader stats information is stored. It is stored on the server. Okay, and what we need to do in order to get the leaders to create the leader stats is we need to create a folder in the server. All right, and in that folder we need to create a folder for every player that connects to the game. All right, so player 1's going to have a folder in the server, player 2's going to have a folder in the server, and in player 1's folder we're going to store how many gold he has, how much money he has, and how many gold nuggets he has, right? So all of that information is going to be stored here on player 1's folder. And player 2's folder, that's where player 2's money is going to be held, and where his number of nuggets is going to be held, and all that other stuff, right, in his own folder on the server. So then when player 1, let's say he earns $500, right, and then he disconnects from the game, right, he closes his computer and he goes to school and he comes back, and after school, the next day he logs into the game. Well, it's going to go ahead and connect to the server, connecting to the game, and then it's going to find the folder that belongs to this player 1, and it's going to take the number of money that he has, the number of gold that he has, and it's going to send it back to the player 1 so that it will show right here on his leader stats, right? So this leader stats window up here is kind of like a window into the server and into the player 1's folder in the server that stores where it stores his information. Right? So this can be kind of confusing, but a big part of Roblox is understanding the client-server model, okay? And yeah, so this is just, I don't know, it's a new system. You've probably never imagined it, but as we program in Roblox, we're going to become more and more familiar with how this works. Okay. And so that's our intro into the server client model. And the next video, we're going to talk about how to create the folder so that we could store information for our player.